Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started. Hey, over the last couple of episodes, I was sharing with you my struggles to eat healthy and what I'm doing to help myself with in terms of overcoming those struggles and dealing with those struggles. And we're actually going to continue on that theme. It's still something that is very much on my mind, although in a very different context and for a very different reason than why I started talking about this issue in the first place. The context of why this is something on my mind right now is that I'm actually at a health center. It's called the True North Health Center. They are located in Santa Rosa, California. I arrived here a few days ago, and I'm going to be staying here for a health retreat for the next 10 days or so. I'm very, very excited and looking forward to this experience and the impact that it has on my life in terms of helping me live in even more healthful ways and just getting back to a place where I am feeling and acting with more empowerment over my decisions about how I eat and just other aspects of my lifestyle when and where those decisions impact the quality of my health. Because I recognized that what happened a few weeks ago at the conference I was at, I was telling you I was at the Train the Trainer conference, and I gave in to temptation at the conference to eat food that was not good for me, that I knew is not good for me. And of course I had my reasons for why I made that choice in that moment. And I'm not blaming, judging myself about it, or shaming or guilting myself about it. However, it's at the same time, that's a good news, right? Because those kinds of behaviors of blaming and shaming and judging and guilting ourselves when we slip, they're not really helpful, okay? They're not helpful in creating change in our behavior. They just make us feel bad, okay? What really helps in changing our behavior is accepting those feelings, acknowledging those feelings, but then paying attention. See, those feelings are there for a reason. And we need to pay attention to what those feelings are trying to tell us. If we are having any kind of negative feeling, it's because we have a need that's not being met. So rather than focusing on the feeling itself, what we do is we figure out what is the message that feeling is giving to us. What is the need that is not being met because of which that feeling was generated? And when you identify that unmet need, then you focus all your attention on taking the action you need to take to meet that need. As you acknowledge the need and you begin to take action to meet that need, the feeling will just naturally resolve itself because it has fulfilled its function. So I realized that I was having all these feelings of temptation, of desire to eat all these things that I know are not good for me. And there's a part of me that feels bad and guilty about it, of course, but it's like I'm processing through those feelings. I'm not focusing on them. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to repress them. I don't want to repress my feelings of shame or guilt if they emerge or if they come up and be like, oh, it's fine, it's just a slip up, it just happened. No, it's like it's important for me to like really look at, okay, what's going on? Was this just really a one-time slip up? That it just happened, that in the moment I made a decision. It was in reaction to what was going on in the environment. And if really it was like a once in a while kind of a thing, then it's not a big deal. You really can just sort of let that go and move on. I mean, you may want to think a little bit about, okay, why did I react this way? Yes, it was just once in a while kind of thing. It just happened this one time perhaps. But it's like if it was something that you didn't like, you may want to think a little bit about, okay, why did this happen? Is it likely to happen again? Right? I mean, think about why it happened, not to blame and judge, but to understand. Understand how you can prevent that from happening in the future, right? Maybe it was an environmental factor, and maybe it's like maybe you were in a completely new environment that you've never been in before, and that's why you found yourself reacting in a completely new way. If it's likely that you are going to be exposed to that kind of environment again in the future because there's something changing in your life, then you you need to put some thought into, okay, well, when I'm back in this environment again, what can I do to make sure that I'm not exposed to the same kind of pressures or temptations? So for example, in my case, if the environment is, okay, I'm at a conference where there's limited options of food that I can eat that meet my dietary requirements, then something I can do in the future is, rather than depending on finding a healthful option and being satisfied by something that they have available at the venue, maybe I can bring my own food with me. Right? And I've actually done that before when I've gone to other conferences, and it's worked really, really well. I take my own food. I don't feel any sense of deprivation or temptation to eat unhealthy food because I have really delicious, tasty food right there with me that I really enjoy eating. So there's always things we can do. There's always a solution to every problem, but we have to identify the correct problem. Okay? So going to conferences is not something that I do every day, right? So it's something that I know will happen occasionally. So it's not something that I do every day, but I know that it's going to happen again and again, right? Because every few weeks, every few months, I will go to another conference. But I know what to do in order to circumvent this challenge, to just prevent it from happening. But the thing is that I have to be thinking about it. I have to be focused on it. I have to consider it to be something significant enough for me to think about and take action on. Right? Now, so that is actually the bigger problem that I found myself dealing with, right? Is that I know what the solutions are to the problem of how to create a more supportive environment and stuff around me. It just requires me to take certain actions, and they're not hard actions to take when I'm motivated to take them. But the problem I've been dealing with more and more, I would say over the last year, is that I've just not been feeling motivated to actually take those actions. I've been losing focus on my intention to eat in a healthful way and to just live a more healthy lifestyle in general. Now, I won't go into why I lost that focus, why I have been struggling to maintain the focus right now. That's another podcast by itself. The more important point I want to make right now is just acknowledging this fact that I did lose motivation. I did lose focus. And I realized that, and I recognized that. And so the kind of solutions that I now have to implement are very different. You see? It's like, how do I regain my focus? How do I regain my sense of motivation, reestablish it? And not just regain and reestablish it to where it was before, but how do I really enhance it and strengthen it so that it is even stronger than it was before? And then what can I do so that I'm able to maintain and continue to strengthen this sense of motivation and focus in the long term? And it was as I was thinking about this challenge that I made the decision to come to Santa Rosa, come to True North Health Center. Because for me, this is part of the solution to that problem of how I'm going to regain my motivation and my focus on living a healthful life, a more healthful life, and how I'm going to make sure that I not only regain but continue to grow even stronger in this goal that I have set for myself to achieve excellence in my health. And I will tell you, that one of the biggest reasons why I realized and recognized that coming here to True North was a big part of the solution for me is because of environment. And the challenges that the environment can pose to our ability to accomplish our goals and our visions and our dreams. And we've already talked about some of these challenges and talked about the idea that, look, if we are in a battle of our will versus our environment, in the long term, the environment will always win. So if we are serious about accomplishing our goals, we need to make sure that we change the environment itself. That we make the environment itself more supportive and more in alignment with the goals that we have, the visions and dreams that we have. So when I'm here at the health center, it's like I have that environment that I need to stay fully focused and not just stay fully focused, but to get reacquainted and refreshed in the tools that I need to maintain my focus once I leave here. So I will tell you a little bit more about what some of these tools are as we go on with the next so many episodes of the episode, because look, I'm telling you now, as long as I'm here, this is what's going to be on my mind. So I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm learning here. Now, I will give you a little hint of one of the things that I'm doing, one of the tools or the processes that I'm using over here at True North to help me reset myself, and that is fasting. I'm actually on a water fast right now as we speak, my second day. And what that means, essentially, being on a water fast, is that all I'm allowed to consume right now is water. I can drink as much water as I want, but I'm not allowed to eat or drink anything else. And besides having this restriction on my consumption of food and drink, the other biggest directive that I've been given is to rest. Rest as much as possible, because basically the idea behind fasting and why it's so helpful and why it can be helpful is that our bodies actually have an amazing capacity to heal themselves. But a lot of times what happens is that all the energy that we have is being used in so many other ways by our body. So for example, it may be used to digest all the food that we are eating throughout the day. Actually, that takes up a lot of our energy. Just digestion of food takes up so much energy. Now, the other thing when we're talking about rest, not just physical rest, but also mentally and emotionally resting, right? Because our brains, our minds, the emotions that we have to process them, to be with them, to deal with them, also takes up so much energy. Not just emotions, but also our thoughts, and it's just, wow, huge. So when you rest physically and mentally and emotionally, it frees up all this energy. And the body's like, whoa, what am I going to do with all this energy now? It's like, hey, we can use it to heal ourselves. And so it redirects when you're resting your body in this kind of way, when you're fasting, then your body is able to redirect all that energy into healing itself. And I'm a big believer in our body's ability and capacity to heal itself. And I've actually done this before. This is not my first time here. This is actually my second time. And so I know that this is something that is very helpful for me. The last time I was here, and I stayed here for a week, and it just, I'm telling you, it changed my life. I must say that since this is my second time being here, I'm finding things to be a lot easier, because the first time around there were many things that I was having to learn for the very first time, many perspectives that I had to change in very significant ways. and create a lot of very, very new different habits. And this time it's more about just refreshing, rebooting, getting back into those patterns of behavior. So I'm finding it to be a lot easier this time around. But more on that next episode, right? For now, let's just say that, wow, I'm really, really happy to be here. But I will warn you that when you are water fasting, your energy can go down. It can dip significantly. I mean, you're obviously not eating, drinking anything other than water. So yes, you may have a significant dip in your energy, and I will too, right? So you will need to, from a place of compassion and empathy for where I'm at and what I'm doing, need to just excuse any sense of low energy that you feel from me. And you know what? I'm thinking that maybe even just the way that I'm doing these podcasts may need to change a little bit. So I'm thinking less of what I want to say and teach from a place of sharing my original perspectives and ideas, and more make it just about sharing what I'm learning over here, just sharing some of the ideas as they are, as I'm learning them, and not, I may not be in a position to do very much commentary on what I'm learning, but I'll make sure that I always give you enough information and enough context of the information that I'm sharing that it makes sense for you and you're able to use that to help yourself. And you know what? Some of the next podcasts may be shorter in duration than the ones we normally have. So these are just some of the things I'm thinking may happen over the next few days, just because of I'm fasting and I will have limited energy to expend on doing these podcasts. All right, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead, wrap up right here. And as always, I want to remind you to please reach out for help and support. If this is something you find yourself struggling with, whether it is issues of health or wellness, specifically, or just creating change in general, creating positive change in your life in general. If this is something you find yourself struggling with, please don't struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And I'm one person that you can reach out to. You can reach me by going to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us page and you'll see how you can connect with me. Now, again, I warn you this time that since I am here for a health retreat and I'm fasting and I've limited energy to deal with things, you may not hear back from me as soon as I normally am able to get back to people. But in any case, connect with me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I promise, as soon as I can. Until next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.